Welcome, everybody, to Stay Curious. I'm your host, Mark Marquette, broadcasting live from the American Space Museum in downtown Titusville, sitting across from Marty Winkle, my co-producer for 5.5 years of these episodes. And today will be a quick one because Marty's on the board of directors, and I've got to go face them with our executive director of our foundation, Gabriel Rothblatt, and talk about how our nonprofits do in the past month. So got a quick little great show for you today, though. And we want to remind you that our auction is this coming up Saturday, the 25th, this Saturday, noon to 5 p.m. Chuck Jeffrey, our auctioneer, will have some amazing items that you can own. We're going to have today's show on Earth invades Venus for the first time 50 years ago. And you, Stay Curious fans, 2 of you have sent me photos of the comet that's in the evening sky called Comet Lemmon with 2 M's. So find out who those viewers are that sent us these pictures, including that one there. And tomorrow's going to be Terry White Day. We're going to be talking to Terry. He's got a program about the thermal protection system on STS-117, Marty. As I recollect, you gave me a note to harvest some pictures from that. Terry, of course, the manager of the shuttles at the Orbital Processing Facility and a great friend of our museum. And we have a dinner with Bob Seek, NASA legend, November 5th, 6 to 9 at the Italian American Club in Melbourne that you can sign up for. We are sponsored today by Manned Space on Facebook. It's under NASA Manned Space. They celebrate the Mercury, Gemini, and Apollo and Skylab programs like none other, even ASTP thrown in there. Mitch Rothman is the administrator with his wife Paula, created this several years ago. They've got something like 30,000 followers. I forget what. We've got about 15. And a great little website documenting space history also on YouTube. And can't thank Mitch Rothman enough for his support of the American Space Museum and his wife Paula. They are going to sponsor an astronaut at Shuttle Fest. Here is Mitch at in western Colorado in the Great Valley. There, he's hiking the monument. That's Independent Monument behind him at the Colorado National Monument. There, just a few, about a half a mile, Mitch said, from where he has a house, and taking beautiful pictures of aspens. I can just hear those aspens rustling in the wind up there, the nice cool breeze of Colorado this time of year. And there's Mitch's little abode there. Ready to grill us up some steaks, Marty. What a beautiful view, Mitch. And I wish I could come out there with my telescope this weekend. Maybe we'll do it some other time there. But thank you, Mitch Rothman, for your support and Manned Space sponsoring us as well as we sponsor you as one of our valued supporters here at the American Space Museum. Well, here's the pictures that were taken. And indeed, Mitch Rothman, up there in Grand Junction, Colorado, took this with an Apple iPhone. And where the red circle is where Comet Lemmon is. He zoomed in with his Apple iPhone, took the picture in the upper left-hand corner. And Connie McDaniel, one of our ACE volunteers, her Sea-Star digital telescope captured this in her backyard of light-polluted Viera, Florida. All right, I say light polluted because it's an urban setting there and street lights everywhere. But these little Sea-Star digital telescopes are about like a binocular on a guided computer, and they download images, and we'll see some close-ups of that here in just a we'll talk about it right now. Is tonight Comet Lemmon is moved a little bit to the right, okay, and you see the Big Dipper. You see the handle of the Big Dipper goes to the bright star Arcturus. Where Arcturus is so low it doesn't look as bright as it usually does when it's up high. And then you see the sort of triangle, V shape of Bootes, the herdsman. The Comet Lemmon was outside that triangle last night and inside of it tonight. So here's the scene that Mitch took. That is an amazing shot, Mitch. Really, with a handheld, you can just see the tail of the comet going up at the 2 o'clock area there, centered in there. And there's the picture Connie took. It has a beautiful greenish cast as the sun is heating up the comet, which is a dirty snowball made of ice. And all the ingredients for life are in a comet: carbon, minerals. If it's got some sort of trace of some amino acids, then that is life. So, but we've never seen that, of course. But the green is an argon influenced color of the evaporation coming off the comet. Again, there's the beautiful contrast of the two pictures. Thank you, Connie, for all you do for our museum. And here's an outline of Mitch's picture where the black, and you see the outline of the Big Dipper over on the right hand, the 3 stars. I barely see the black connecting those, I guess. But then you see the triangle. Well, Comet Lemmon's going to move inside that triangle, as exemplified by this picture here. It says the 21st, but this is the 22nd chart up there. They just didn't change the date where I got this. So, wow, what a great find for you guys, Connie and Mitch. Go out there with binoculars, Mitch, and enjoy it. Kick back with, of course, those warm clothes on your cool Colorado night. And we'll be still in shirt sleeves here looking up. And binoculars are the best way to get it. See how far off it is the horizon? That's probably about 15 degrees, which your fist held together is 5, 10, 15. Go about that high up. Look for the triangle of Bootes, or the arc of the Big Dipper's handle there, like I'm showing you here, and you'll find it. And it's not going to be there long, as the Earth rotating will make it set. This is about 7:30 at night, I think, something like that. I went out and tried to see with binoculars, but I was in too much of a light-polluted street and need to drive away from where I live to see it. So go out and check out Mount Lemmon. You will be glad that you did. Well, there's a photo I took years ago of the bright planet Venus and Jupiter close together. Happened to be July, I think it was like 2018, when they got very close in the evening sky. Venus is now the brightest object in the right before sunrise, all right, in the twilight, and Jupiter is rising about midnight. But we thought Venus, just 55 to 70 years ago, was an environment that, because it was covered in clouds from Earth, all we could see is the cloud-draped planet that went through phases, because it's between the Earth and the sun, so it goes through phases like the moon as it goes around between us and the sun. And so it goes through these phases, and we fantasized that it could be a lush vegetation habitat. And then we started sending our Mariner probes by it that did some tests saying that, oh, that's carbon dioxide, that's very deadly, and it seems to be kind of hot on the surface. There's Venus going through the phases as it does, and beautiful in our sky. And here's Venus, the brightest object there, and the moon over the Vehicle Assembly Building in Cape Kennedy Space Center some years ago. Picture I took from Space View Park. All right, the rising of this. So this was definitely a morning shot, because the moon phases last quarter or later then. So it's easy to see Venus. So it's tantalized mankind, named after the goddess of love because reflecting, and Earth's size about identical in size. But we couldn't be different, as this is the photo taken by Magellan spacecraft that Space Shuttle Transportation System number 30 put on its way to Venus, I think in 1989. And this is the surface of Venus as mapped by the probe Magellan. And as you see, this is a relief of a world that is hellish. 900 degrees at the surface, and mountain ranges that are flattened, not many high areas. Nothing's above 3 miles on Venus, where it's over 7 on Earth. No water, 900 degrees surface. We couldn't be different. But we wondered what the surface was like. This is a photo taken, of course, in the end of the 1990s. But 50 years ago, in 1975, Russia landed the first Earthling built spacecraft on another planet and sent a picture back of it the first time ever 50 years ago. This is an artist's conception of Venera 9, Russian for Venus, their ninth attempt to land on there. The hellish clouds above, artist's conception. This is what sort of what it would look like, would be a hazy fog. And it broadcast on 10/22/75, the first photograph ever taken on the surface of another world. And what we saw was a curvature. You see the horizon in the corners there. Just the nature of this camera was a super wide angle looking down. This is part of the spacecraft in the foreground. But these are rocks that look like shale rocks just flattened out. How historic was that? And then they have straightened some of those pictures out with today's technology. And this is if you were Venera probe standing at about 6 feet tall, looking at the rubble of rock, all right, which gives us an indication of volcanism, spewing rocks all over the surface. But these rocks are 900 degrees below zero. Above zero, Marty. And I didn't even use any notes yet. The clouds were measured at 20 to 25 miles thick, contained hydrochloric acid, hydrofluoric acid, bromine, and iodine. Temperatures are 905 degrees in the day. The surface light levels comparable to those at Earth on a cloudy summer day. It sent back black and white pictures showing no shadows, no apparent dust in the air, and a variety of rocks which were not eroded. This is very important, that the rocks aren't very smooth. They're sharp, and that means that there's not wind erosion going on a big, or of course water erosion. The planned 360-degree panorama could not be taken because one of two camera lens covers failed to come off, limiting it to 180 degrees. They had covers over the lenses so that the landing or crash landing would not get dust on the lens, all right, and fog up the picture. Well, an opaque lens cover, that's a mistake. So when this happened on Venera 10, the failure occurred again, and they didn't get any pictures because the lenses were covered. Venera 11, 12, and 13 that landed, I think maybe 14 was one of them. They had clear plastic lenses that were clear, so that if they didn't pop off, at least they could get something. Good idea, huh? Just things you don't think about. This is the Venus through that we can see through the cloud layer. The clouds just aren't completely layered. There are structure to them. There is wind in the cloud structure, but 25 miles thick. And then there's like a mile gap and then about 5 mile layer on there, where the Earth's total atmosphere is about a 5 mile area, breathable. And up on Mount Everest, 7 miles, you need atmosphere. The crushing atmospheric pressures of all of the weight of that atmosphere, all right, is what barometric pressure is. It would crush a can in minutes, all right. And that's what these probes failed from, the heat and the crushing atmosphere that kept pushing down on them until something just gave and crushed them like a soda can. So you don't think about that. It's like being on the bottom of the ocean and all that pressure of water on top of you. This is a map of Venus that I'm going to show up here to freak y'all out. It's got too much green on it for our green screen. Okay, and there it is there. Still a cool effect to have on a Venus day. Let me go like that. There we go. Looking through the Venus, but basically the places you do see are low areas, and the ones you don't are the high areas. Not many high areas. Venus is very low because of the atmospheric pressure, the heat of literally melting lead on the surface of Venus. So there you have Venus invaded by Earthlings on this date 50 years ago. The Russians did it. We've never landed on Venus, America. We've orbited with the most important spacecraft orbited, Magellan. There are some other theories now that there's some sweet spots in that 25-mile atmosphere where it could be 85 to 60 degrees and support microbes. Think fish floating in your aquarium. Okay, so creatures like that could possibly live swimming in an atmosphere like giant, like miniature balloons or something like that in there. So, all right, enough about Venus there, and you'll be seeing it. You morning risers like Gary Gerald watching today, you look to the east before sunrise, you'll be seeing Venus there, Gary, I mean. RG Jubilee, thank you for being here. Dr. Sewell knows what I'm talking about. Dr. Keith Sewell, an astronomy professor in Arkansas, he knows all about Venus. Mitch Rothman, thank you for your support, and we're happy that Man Space as a sponsor of Stay Curious. Steve Jokums in his Lake County Spaceport in Illinois, also a sponsor of our program. Dean Babcock, great to have Dean there. Tom Celentano, Dave Stange, get out with those binoculars and go find the comet. And if you get a picture of Tommy Usiak, send it to me because he's in Pennsylvania. Carlton Bailey is over at the just about 20 miles south of us here at his home, and Doug Forrest is about 2,500 miles west of us in Los Angeles. Thank you, Doug, for watching. Get away from that LA smog and check it out. One more pitch for the auction this Saturday. Okay, you can bid right now. Please help our museum out. This is our 40th auction, and they've sustained an important cash flow that we'll be reporting to the board today. In fact, the last auction benefited us a little more than $10,000 from Bid Again auctions to support our museum, and that is significant. These auctions range from $5,000 to $10,000, so that was a very good auction for us. You win an auction item for $100, you're going to pay $120. That 20% is our charity auction. If we own the item and put it in the auction, then we get a full 100% of the value there. So very important. Thank you, Chuck Jeffrey. Look at these gorgeous contractor models. Oh my God, that Gemini, I just drool over it. I've seen the Apollo one. Marty's got one. They go for $1,000. They're kind of small. They're miniature, about something like that. But all these models are beautiful, made by the contractors that built the rocket or the spaceship, and you know you want them. So once again, thank you, Mitch Rothman and Connie McDaniel. You are now amateur astronomers. No, better yet, you are now astrophotographers because your work has been published out there in the cyber world for all to enjoy. So go outside, catch Comet Lemmon. If you don't see it, just pretend it's there because Mark Marquette told you so, okay? Until next time, I am Mark Marquette, and thanking Marty Winkle and our whole staff here in the way that they support our program. It takes a village and it takes a museum to do all that we do here, and we've got great employees and some volunteers that are just exemplar. Thank you, thank you. And until next time, I'm Mark saying, can't wait to see you under the stars to bridge the space between us.